Hello and welcome to SweetSpotDFS. I have a review for you guys for the 2021 CJ Cup at Shadow Creek, but I'm not going to do it alone. That's right, I have a guest, and he is Chad Eckert from the Fantasy Golf Pod. Now, he and I have done a review in the past and thought this would be a great time to do another one. Plus, Chad is so nice to add it on to his iTunes, so you can find this audio version at the Fantasy Golf Pod on iTunes. We've been talking about doing this regularly, so we'll see if it ends up going through. This was just recorded to me starting this or to doing this intro, so we have already done the review, and we go all over the place. So I'm not gonna be able to accurately provide you timestamps in the description. It's just two guys cracking beers, talking names. Obviously, we can't click them in the review, but yeah. Hopefully you guys enjoy it, and I have it for you guys right now. Here you go. What's up, Chad?
Eric.
I think it's customary to crack a beer, isn't it?
Of course.
All right. I got mine. I got the Josh Bennett, the Jish Swish, Mick Golden, Mick Golden Light. That's how we say it in Minnesota, Mick Golden Light. I know you guys had your own little chat thing going on, but anyways.
Yeah, we were on Twitter. I went to the liquor store the other day, and the case was up to the ceiling, and I thought that was kind of silly. So I sent a picture of that to Josh and our buddy Putt Sweat, and was like, "Hey, look at that! It's a Euro supply of beer." But yeah, it took a little bit of a turn when people outside of the United States were involved and now commenting on Twitter. I'm at Edina Real Chi on Twitter. If you want to go look at that little thread, it's on there.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty funny. I knew that Mick Golden isn't everywhere because I have college friends all over the place, but it was kind of funny that like Joe Nicely didn't know anything about Mick Golden, so
right.
He's missing out. And I love Josh's take on it. It's like just think of your favorite light beer and say how can it get any better, and then you've got Mick Golden Light.
Exactly.
All right, so I'm not here to talk about beer, not the entire time, but it's customary with having someone with the Fantasy Golf Pod on to crack a beer. I didn't do it last time, but had to do it this time. But CJ Cup, what are some of your takeaways from it?
Well, of course, Jason Kokrak wins, and I didn't have any shares. I was not snorting any of that this week, but I normally am, which is annoying. And so, but I did, we knew if you get the putter with Jason Kokrak, you can have a week, and he had it and got it probably the best putting rounds of his life.
I mean, he was pretty solid with his irons and his driver too. He was just on. Obviously, you have to be if you want to win a tournament, especially if someone his caliber. But yeah, I wasn't on any Jason Kokrak. A buddy of mine, he only makes like 2 bullets, and he put Kokrak in his. So today I'm just like, what? Why? Why did you want to play Kokrak? And he's like, I don't know, it was just a gut feeling. He was a bomber who, I don't know. I can't remember everything he said, but I'm like, okay, a gut feeling.
He loves Vegas. It's kind of a Vegas guy.
Is he really?
I guess. I mean, he did that like Instagram post before the season. He's like ready to go all in, and he's looking at cards, and he's got this like weird look in his eye on Instagram. So that's kind of why I was like, maybe for Vegas, he would be good.
Okay. Hey. I had no inclination whatsoever on Jason Kokrak.
The bucket system didn't reveal Jason's name?
No. Well, you know what? I honestly didn't really review the bucket system. It was a last year too. So, I mean, he would have been in one of the plays to do.
But does last year too still count if it's not the same course, or do they kind of?
Yeah, that's the tricky thing. So a little bit of the CJ Cup are basically golfers who get invited to this thing. So you have to get invited. It's not like everybody gets to go, or everyone has the opportunity to. So you would think that, yeah. So course history isn't involved, but the same golfers are going to be playing the CJ Cup because they're typically the better, the best golfers. Jason Kokrak wasn't. And I guess if I were to look at the bucket for last year twos, it would golfers who didn't play. So yeah, he would
fit
technically under that bucket.
It is true. Jason Kokrak has never putted as well as he did this week. He has gained 10.3 strokes putting this week, and his next best is 8.9 at the Sony in 2015. So He took advantage. Good for him. Beat Xander. Xander, Mr. Runner-up. It's another runner-up.
I thought Xander was going to pull it off. You know what? What I do want to talk about. So you and I kind of talked prior to your podcast, and Justin Thomas. Like, that was a very disappointing Sunday for a guy that I thought was going to do well.
He kind of had a bad Thursday and Sunday, and it was due to the putter. It really was. He couldn't get it going, and then that just kind of bled into his mental psyche, and I think he was just kind of behind the 8 ball the whole time.
God, 74 on Sunday. That's disgusting.
Yeah.
Same with Rory. Did you see Rory's finish?
No.
He went bogey, double on 14 through 17. So 14, 15, 16, 17.
Oh, my.
And I think he parred the last hole.
What? So where did he end up? 21? Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
So, but
he was still in the winning lineup, though, on DraftKings.
Yes,
dude.
he was
in the winning lineup.
Yeah, I mean, I have this sorted right now. If you can see on my screen, it's sorted on DK points. So he was the 15th best score.
Well, okay, so I saw the winning lineup on the short game had Rory and Xander, or you could have switched it out.
Shoot. I realized there's a mistake here. Never mind, he was the 16th best.
What was the mistake?
So like how I copy and paste, I usually go from like the recent form tab that I have where I house like, you know, the optimal lineup versus the winning lineup, which we can obviously talk about right now. A lot of the times I'll swing it back over to the DK page and it'll be perfect, you know, the same names. But obviously Morikawa and Rory tied in points, and then it doesn't matter. Either way, it's been fixed.
Whatever. Okay, cool. This was a fun weekend because you had Xander, and if you were on Xander like I was, because you knew he was good at no cuts and he kind of likes new things. I mean, everybody liked him. He was almost 26% on in the contest I was in. He paid it off. It was great.
Right. I mean, looking at the spreadsheet right now, Xander 26%. Kokrak was 10%. I mean, come on, Chad. Why weren't you on Kokrak? Everybody else was.
I don't know. I can't be on everybody. But you were on Bubba.
Yeah.
He was there.
Yeah, no, I was pretty excited, and Bubba had his last 2 par 5s on 18 and 16. He parred them both. So the strength that I thought he had throughout the tournament, when it came down to the crunch time, it was no bueno, no good.
Shit.
He still was in the Okay, let's go ahead. I'm gonna bring up the optimal lineup versus the $1. This is the tournament that you play a lot of them. I think you have 20 some entries into the $1 short game.
Yep.
So the $1 short.
That's my shtick, Eric. So if you don't know me, I'm Chad Eckert of the Fantasy Golf Pod. I also do a podcast with Joe Idoni on Mondays called Preferred Lines. Eric and I, we play golf together. We've also collaborated together on a spreadsheet. We're trying to help the community get better at this DFS stuff by being examples and not being afraid to just put ourselves out there. So like and subscribe to this crap and write a comment. Participate in our world so that maybe someday an advertiser will come by and stick an ad on this and we can make some money, because you won't see an ad, will you, Joe? Or on anyone's pod, will you?
Nope. Neither mine or yours. Not yet, at least.
Yet. Yeah. And then, of course, watch all of his pods. How many pods do you have, Eric?
Oh, my God. Well, I mean, it's
3 a week.
It's 4 a week. I can't remember.
We're gonna make you give us some of that content so you can view it or listen to it on iTunes. So stay tuned for that potentially.
Yeah, that would be a good plan. So getting back into the spreadsheet,
talking about the optimal. Are you trying to get the perfect lineup? How do we get that?
Yeah, man. I am always trying to get the perfect lineup. In fact, that's why I just put out the bucket system video, is to explain that's my goal, is to find the optimal lineup. It's trying to I personally just dislike always hearing, this is going to be a strokes gained approach type of week. This is a second shot golf course. So load up on all your strokes gained approach. It's like, okay, let's do that. Let's go look at all the top, strokes gained approach golfers. Oh shit. Only 3 of the top 20 finished inside the top 20, and only 1 of them finished inside the top 10. Doesn't sound like strokes gained approach was the way to go.
No.
Like,
so you're either on something or you're on to something. So we'll see.
Right.
But
Amen.
No, I did watch your bucket video. If you want to do one of those tags where it's up here and it displays across.
Yeah, like somewhere up there.
Click that video. Watch that thing about the bucket system. And if you have questions, you can DM this guy. He's at SweetSpotDFS. But at the same time, it's a very interesting way to cut down, because what it really comes down to is you can't click everybody. You got to have reasons. And these reasons are based on what the experts in the industry kind of say. Last week's form, last year's form, like that's almost all of what you go off of. And that's pretty much what stats are baked into last year's form. Course history is baked into last year's course. So I think, a bucket system that includes those 2 things, and then you try to start to whittle down so hey, listen, you don't need to use 3 of these types of players. You don't need to use 4 of these types of players in in the lineup. I mean, it's a great way to think about how to build. If you build it, you'd have to admit, Eric, that your bucket system might more be for the mass multi-entry players, the players that are using over 100 lineups, because for a 20 lineup guy, I can just do that kind of in my head on my own.
Right.
Yeah, this is a great way because if you're going to make 150 lineups, sometimes you get confused. How many am I could use everybody, but you shouldn't use everybody. And then where do you draw the line, and how do you determine? And if there's a system involved in which helps you make 156 players in a field cut down to 60, and then from there 30.
Right.
I think we're onto something, Eric.
Well, and I mean, you do bring up a good case. I do say, or I would think too, that it would help mass entry, multiple around 100, like you say. I also like, so I've been I use like a group of 13 lineups, and that's kind of how I do the cascading method. So part of my strategy is never to go over 10% on a 6K golfer because of how volatile it is. So if you were to think of all 6 positions available in your lineup, if you were to just stack them on top of each other, I mean, obviously if you've seen me do this in my, spreadsheeting it, your 6th place is always going to be a 6K golfer. And it's just going to be a random one. So then you do the other 5 in the cascading method. It ends up being, I think either 13 or 16 lineups that you end up creating. So if you did have 16 lineups that you were creating or something like that, I do think if you were to use the discipline of the bucket system, you could determine between Colin Morikawa or Justin Thomas or, Xander or something like that. And
Absolutely.
then
and you could use that system for 20 lineups like I'm doing.
Yep.
Or you could use it to eliminate names when you're looking to bet ahead of time.
Absolutely. Okay. So the $1 short game winning lineup had Jason Kokrak in it, Xander Schauffele, Russell Henley, Bubba Watson, Joaquin Niemann, which I know you were on, and Rory McIlroy. Now, Rory he finished 21st place, and we were just already talking about he was tied for the 14th best.
Well, listen to this. Okay, so you had one more point if you had Rory than JT, and you could still have both, right? So therefore, if you had Rory for one more point, somehow, some way, a putt along the 72 holes, you won. But you didn't win. You tied, because there are people on this lineup. There were 4, in fact. 5. Well, 4 were on this, but 5 ended up with the same score.
Right.
645.5. What a tournament. This is a great tournament.
I thought it was great too. I mean, and so I have a buddy who actually caddies out at this golf course, and I didn't even think about texting him prior to. I don't know why. I totally forgot about it until I got a reminder that he's going back to the desert soon. So I was like, oh shit. Like, oh man, it would have been great to pick his brain, but primarily because I want to know how many of these pros had played there before. That charity event on Wednesday was really interesting. Kevin Na was talking about, oh, you want to miss here, you want to miss there. So he says he plays it like once or twice a year. He's not a member at that course, but it would be.
Well, he was shitty.
I know he did a lot worse than I thought he was going to. He had a good Saturday, I believe. I don't see him. I'm not going to talk about him, but
dude, look at Spieth.
I know, man.
85 points. Kidding me?
38th place. So when we talk, when I hear about Spieth, obviously we don't want to play Spieth because he finds ways to screw up. But
oh my God, I'm texting Martins right now about this.
He gets so many birdies to like offset his just disastrous holes that obviously he scored a lot of points. And
he scored more than Rory, Colin Morikawa, and JT.
Right. It's crazy.
Unreal.
So
all right, so that's cool. So what else can we glean from this little exercise?
Well, pretty much everyone in the optimal lineup for this small event all finished top 10, and you would have to have left $2,500 on the table. What was the most you left this week on the table?
Like 100, maybe 200.
I left 1,300 on one of them. It was on a Brooks lineup that I had.
Oh, I might have left like 700 actually. Now that I think about it.
Okay.
For like one that didn't fit or whatever.
Right. I had like one at 1,300, and I think I also had one at like 2,000, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah. How many? Yeah. So whatever. I mean, I think you could have come onto this lineup. I think it was a great lineup. It's easy to make this lineup, and it's not even. It's chalky as shit, dude. Honestly.
Do you remember I said you needed 2 6K golfers in this lineup, or to find, or that was going to be in the winning GPP lineup?
Yeah, we were wrong.
We were wrong, but barely.
But yeah, exactly.
7,000.
Which is crazy though in a way.
But
because Gooch was right there if he had a good Sunday, and Lanto if he had a good Sunday.
Right. So, yeah.
They're right there.
Right.
But I can't believe Spieth. That is insane. And then Cam, I was on Cam Smith. Why wasn't anyone on Cam Smith? I don't understand that. What was his percentage ownership? Like, oh, he was. People were on him, 9.4%.
Where was he? Yeah, 9.4%. So I kind of want to bring up the tweet that I had.
So what does the bucket system tell us about this week? Can we review the bucket system, or how do you do this? I've watched this stuff, but you
sure. So I'll sort it out. Let's sort it out. Okay, it's actually by DK points, which is perfect. But I usually sort it out by result because in a way, trying to figure out a result is a little bit easier than trying to figure out DK points. At least a lot of us have the ability just to pull those stats.
Well, the Spieth looks a lot better in DK points than it does in finish.
Yeah. He'd be somewhere down here if we were talking about him. But yeah, DK points. So this is how I usually look at it. I will first review, if you watch that video, I talk about the min max. Now, we don't have a lot of data for this tournament, so it's not like I could boldly say these things and absolutely feel like we needed to, but I could tell you we wanted 4 to 6 last year ones. So I know you were talking to me. You had a lot of great I wish you would have left them in the YouTube comments, honestly.
Oh, I will. I'll rewrite them in there.
Okay. But you had some really good questions for me as to, okay, how do you find the bucket? Where's the bucket? And
because it goes in the rank, it goes 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2. And you don't really think that. You just think bucket 1 must be 1 through 20.
Right. I get it. Yeah. Like you think from top to bottom. It makes sense to me. And it's like the rank is over here, last year bucket 1, and I get it. I think so you
might have to just rank by bucket 1, and then we can look at like, why is 20 through 40 first? That's weird.
Right. And actually that's actually a good idea. I could put all the ranks right here, and then the ranges right here, and then the years, going to the right. Or maybe I just put the ranges over on this side. I don't know. We'll see.
Yes. Well, hey, and if you have feedback like that, we're not set in stone by any means.
No. I mean,
making this shit up as we go along.
I mean, I do think this is a start. Obviously, I want to add strokes gain metrics to it and stuff like that. But, anyways, so I would have told you, we look at the last year bucket 1s. I'd have said 4 to 6 of them. We wanted 4 to 6 in our optimal lineup, or just in our lineup, basically, if we wanted to win a GPP. So if we go back to the DK page, in all reality, only one guy was in the optimal lineup, but Joaquin Niemann ended up being the $1. I usually like to look at top 10 finishes. So that's usually right here. That means only 2.
That's a putt away. That's like
Right.
an eagle or a birdie or one thing away.
Yeah, exactly. Like with Cam Smith, JT, and Ian Poulter, they obviously could have been there. But the fact of the matter remains, these guys, I was wrong. The bucket system for last year buckets didn't even have.
This bucket system isn't very active for this tournament and next
Correct.
week either. So it's tournaments that like have, since you've been doing this, 2013 or whatever, 14?
I go back to 2013, but the bucket system really started in 2018.
Okay, so then we're honing in. So stay with us, people. Like this is an artificial intelligence that the more it knows, and the better it gets as it gets better. So let's wait on it and don't judge us until we get a couple years under our belt.
So this is one thing I thought about doing is kind of just doing all-encompassing bucket system. Like, what do we typically see week in and week out? And I didn't really change anything because it pretty much aligns with that all-encompassing bucket, like the universal bucket system, if I was to ever create one, where usually, believe it or not, did not plays the year before. Actually, it's like this is one of the top buckets. It's usually 1 or 2 in every single tournament.
I was going to ask you about the average of which bucket's the best.
And it depends on which tournament. Like some of those low ones, I think if we were thinking of the Shriners, I believe the missed cut and above was bucket 2. This was bucket 3. And then this was bucket this was bucket. Okay, so hold on. This was bucket 1. This was bucket 2. And then this was bucket 3, the first to 20th place. So the guys who finished top 20 the year before in that tournament, that was, it doesn't. Basically, I would be telling you, although someone finished top 20 last year, doesn't really mean they're going to do well this year. But if they miss the cut, then perhaps. But either way, This was a no-cut tournament. We were never going to have golfers in this miscut withdraw bucket. That's basically what this bucket is.
Bucket 6 doesn't exist, really.
Precisely, exactly. Although Jason Day just withdrew, so he technically is going to be in this bucket for next year.
Fucking Jason Day. Oh, yeah. I had the best lineup. My best lineup, dude, had Jason Day.
Hey, man, he still got you 67 points. It wasn't like it was a goose egg.
But he had a chance to help me win the whole thing.
I know. And
then it was like 500th at that point.
Right. You missed out on 17 holes. You walked off on hole 2.
What a pussy. But I'm not mad about it at all. I'm not tilted by my best lineup having Jason Day and getting ruined because he withdrew like a little coward. But at the same time, he probably does have a problem, don't you think? And maybe you don't roster him.
I have a hard time rostering him. So, like, someone's back in golf. Guess what? The number one injury for all golfers, amateur or professional, is your back. And that's why Tiger, we all were wondering how he was going to come back because it was his back that ended up being the main culprit. So if Jason Day has this, what would you call something, this reoccurring back issue?
And neck. This was neck, apparently.
Yeah. Well, and your neck is, he woke up with a stiff neck. That's right. But
he says.
Right. But I think it's all connected though, right? I mean, you think about
Totally. Yeah.
Like if you're trying to, okay. Yeah.
No, and he knows because he only has so many rounds left. He's like talked to Tiger. It's like publicly known that they have chatted about what do you do?
Right.
How do you get yourself ready for certain things? And he was like, okay, I'm going to try to give it a go because I have a chance. I'm in the final group. I could win this thing. But at the same time, if I don't really care. I'm a millionaire and all I care about is in 3.5 weeks when I'm in Augusta and I'm preparing for that. So let's just be honest with ourselves.
Right. Yeah, and either way, it's really difficult. Like he obviously at one point in time was one of the most talented. He was ranked number 1 at one point in time. But with the whole back issue, it's dicey. It's really difficult. He's a likable guy. He can score decent DraftKings points, but
look at his ownership. It was like 3%. So at the same time, that's what you're getting when it's baked in to taking chances on Jason Day. I was like, ha, 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 all the way to the point of, oh, wait, ha, ha is on me today. But I was happy about it up until today, But at the same time, I'm like, oh, that's what you get for rostering a Louis Oosthuizen, a Jason Day. I mean, when a Louis Oosthuizen or Jason Day are popular, then you're like, ha, no way. Right. But at the same time, I took 3 shares at 3.5%. Like, I'm over the field in that. That was great. And I had 1 bullet with him. So it's kind of sometimes worth the risk. But I don't know. You have to kind of monitor those things week by week.
Right. So yeah, I mean, to answer your question before, how did the bucket system do? Well, we look at the last year bucket ones, and we don't see that many. But we come down to the last year bucket two, and there's just a slew of them. But it's also your largest bucket. There's 45 people in this bucket. So if
I'll ask you, how often is the best bucket the most popular bucket?
Quite a bit, actually.
Okay.
So like, although last year one had the small, we could always think of percentages, right? Of how many people finished, say, inside the top 10, because that's usually what I'm just looking for. 2 out of 15 versus, well, I'm just going to count this, 7 out of 45. I'm not going to do the math really quick, but I think it's 9% versus 8.5% or something like that.
That's all relative.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, like, you can make that argument of, okay, this bucket is, this is half of the field is in this bucket. So just by numbers alone, by volume alone, the likelihood of someone finishing inside the top 10 is going to be pretty high. But I could show you over different years. Usually the last year bucket one is the did not plays, and there are always half of the field in the did not plays. So again, you could still make that argument that just by volume alone. But if you cancel out the riffraff, so obviously like, Jake Young Lee, who the hell is that guy, right? Like no one knows who he is. We wouldn't think Michael Thompson was going to do well, or Tom Kim, the Joo Hyung Kim.
Right.
Alex Noren was obviously pretty surprising. He was favorited, 10.5% or 10.05%. But like Andrew Landry, just name out all of the random guys that you just don't think are going to do well regardless in these buckets, and you could just throw them out. Like you don't even have to think about playing them. Basically anybody that's under here. But
Eric, we could play everybody every week for every reason. So it's like it really is okay, great. Well, everyone has a chance. This is golf, and like they're all really good. So to make it out to be like, well, this bucket has so many names in it. Well, what the hell? Well, that's just the way it is because sometimes everybody has a chance.
So right. The other thing too, though, is you got to compare everybody in their own buckets. So if I tell you, so I would have told you need to play at least 4 last year twos because that was a very consistent score. There were 4. So if you're creating your lineups based off of that, when you look,
you're saying use 4 of the bucket 2 names in one lineup.
Pretty much, yes.
So that would be like, of course, you'd have to use then Gooch and Lanto if you wanted to use the Rorys and the Xanders or whatever. But I could have known that maybe it was better in my interest to go with a Xander Rory stack versus a Xander JT, which I did. Even though it was 1 point difference.
Yeah, and to use a little bit of logic, if I said you wanted to find at least 4 last year twos, would you? I shouldn't say you should at least use 4 because I'm looking at top 10 scores, and that's what the bucket system is based off of. So it's looking at 10 golfers. It's not looking at 6. So it's like you want to use around 4. So that could be 3, could be 5. Doesn't matter.
What you're trying to do is get 4 of the golfers in the top 10, obviously.
Right. So if I were to say that, you couldn't put Xander, Rory, and John Rahm together.
Right.
You have that's where you have to make your decision. Which one am I going to anchor with? And then that's the one you go with. And then you look at the last year ones. Which one do you like the best out of that? Obviously, I like JT. JT was my favorite, but
then you also have Neiman.
And if you wanted to do your leverage based off of the bucket system, if you don't think JT is going to do well at, and he's 10,800, he was the most expensive last year one by far. Maybe you pivot to Tyrrell Hatton. Obviously coming off the win last year, and that's how you get on Hatton, and then that's how you are able to play Xander and still have.
Or you want Hatton's ownership level, and because you're using Xander.
Yeah, you absolutely could go that route, and with that type of thinking too. Sure. But if I say you want to play around 4. You're not going to stack up with a bunch of high-priced guys in the last year 2 bucket. Maybe that's how you get on Kokrak. I tweeted Russell Henley. In fact, I'm going to show you the tweet that I sent out. 2 of these guys, I said, 2 to 3 of these guys are going to finish top 10. You see Russell Henley, or is Russell Henley in this one? Yeah, Russell Henley here.
And so is Munoz, who finished 9th or something. And then Cam Smith was a putt away from finishing in the top
He
10.
finished 11th.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, he finished 11th. So he was a putt away from finishing inside the top 10. So
yeah. And then Ryan Palmer was 2 putts away.
Right.
He was on that list.
And
so that list was nails for like the sleepers or whatever.
Right, exactly. And that had a lot to do with their last week finish. Which,
okay, you go do your thing. I'm going to grab another beer. I'll be right back.
All right, sounds good, man. Okay, so one thing that I'm trying to get at with – actually, you know what? Let me go back. We didn't really get to talk about the optimal lineup versus the $1 GPP winning lineup. So the $1 GPP winning lineup had 645.5 points. The optimal lineup had 694. So there was a huge opportunity to do better than this. 50 some points that you could get in between. And obviously you see on the screen, all the golfers in blue are on the $1 GPP. All the little ones with the black tick mark here are in the optimal lineup. So wanted to kind of round base and talk about that. But hey, that was perfect timing. Now that I went through that, I just kind of went through the $1 GPP winning lineup versus the optimal lineup, just because you and I didn't really get all the way through it. But there was a lot of opportunity to actually beat that lineup, 50 points. So could easily gotten there. But following up with your bucket system question, if I come down to the 3s, the 4s, the 5s, and the 6s, Brooks Koepka, he was the only last year 6, and this is where Jason Day is going to be next year. So Jason Day will follow under this suit, but obviously Brooks Koepka didn't get it done.
Not today.
I figured that out because of rust, not a big deal. But then your last year 5s, guess who your main guy is in there? Mr. Matthew Wolff. So,
and Horschel I like. So I would have come to this bucket system and been like, oh, yeah, let's play Wolff and Horschel. And you've been like, no thanks, right?
Pretty much. I would have been like, well, hold on. Pump your brakes a little bit. I'm not saying don't play Matthew Wolff. I'm saying don't play him in more than 10% of your lineups.
Sure.
So
I had 2 shares of Matt Wolff, so I adhered to something that you didn't tell me, but I did anyway.
And we could look at the last year 4s or last year 3s. Obviously, last year 4s, there was nothing good here also. I that tweet that I also sent, I said one of 2 – it was like one of 4 golfers were in it. I said one of them would finish top 10. Joel Damon and Sergio were there. So obviously that didn't work out for me. That struck out. But then there was Abraham Answer, and I think you touted him on the FGP.
No, that our guest did.
Oh, okay.
Or a guest bet Abraham Answer. His name is Christopher Powers. He works for Golf Digest on the Preferred Line podcast. We typically have an expert on because we're hashtag non-experts, and he was preferred play was Abraham Answer, which I was kind of shocked because he had been riding the hot putter, so I didn't do that. But no, I didn't use Answer actually this week.
You know what, Chad? Based off his last year performance, I didn't like him.
Huh. 17% owned too, so whatever.
Right.
You got to find these guys that are popular that you need to figure out ways to pivot. I mean, like everybody you could make a case for, like this is what we've said. So the bucket system helps you just at least go, oh, wait. And it gives you some sort of like reason other than strokes gained, reasons that are past stats that don't equal future performance.
Correct. So all in all, to me, I mean, the buckets here at the bottom weren't very big. So again, like it all worked out. So your 3s, your 4s, your 5s, and your 6s didn't reach the top 10. And none of these guys were in your optimal lineup. So you could have cut out 18 golfers out of your potential pools, if you were to look at something like this. And it
we're saying that like you could eliminate 18 off of 2 years of data. And like imagine that if this thing gets better with more data, the tournaments that have more statistics and more past results, and that gives us just more opportunity to have more correct names.
Right.
So let's go. Let's keep going. This is a good thing, right?
Absolutely, man. And really one thing that I'm adding to it that I haven't really explained it in my videos is I'm actually looking at scoring averages to go along with the bucket. So I'm kind of trying to find my favorite golfers. And in a way, this has helped me out a lot on showdown lineups.
Okay.
Because I actually do look at the strokes gained. I'll come here. It's something I'm planning to do in the future, at least maybe even tweet it out, is to say, okay, so if we were looking at Tyrrell Hatton, obviously he was a last year one, and he was smoking throughout the entire tournament, except for Saturday, right? Or was it Friday? Can't remember. One of his.
Well, he threw the club
Saturday.
and kicked it a bunch of times on Saturday.
Yeah.
So
his Saturday round was bad. But if I was to tell you, like Tyrrell Hatton, last year won. He has a 69.51 scoring average. The field average was 70.35. That could get you on someone like him. I don't even remember what his actual scoring average was, but I baked this into my own kind of results, and I know that's a little unfair.
What's the scoring average from?
Scoring average is from all of 2020's rounds of golf.
But is it on Euro at all?
No.
Oh, it doesn't even include Euro.
Nah, just keep it to the PGA. I mean, it's
right, but so then that number could even be better if he had his Euro tournament results, because where he's been making money is last week, 2 weeks ago on the Euro.
Right. Gosh, there's so much still to unpack with the spreadsheet, but either way,
does it mean though, like now that Hatton performed well this week, does that mean that the Euro hangover flight time difference body clock thing is kind of a joke? Because you got Fleetwood, who did well but then was failure, and then you got Hatton that did great and then was great. So, and then there's other names that flew over and are bad. I mean, like,
what?
Fitzpatrick was okay. I mean, like, does it really even matter?
I think no. I would assume that the Euro golfers are so much more used to jet lag, because the European Tour goes all over the place. It's not just stuck to like a small. So a lot of these European golfers are already flying to different parts of the world for their events, especially those that have a PGA Tour status. They're always coming back and forth. So I don't think for them it's going to so much matter. But
imagine though, it would be so cool. Like you fly into these different areas, and you're teeing off at 6:30 p.m. Like I would love to do that every once in a while, but it's dark as hell. Like, you can't do that or whatever. Like you're off at midnight. It'd be cool. Like,
right. Yeah.
You're like a young 20-year-old. Who cares? It's Tyrrell Hatton. He has enough energy, doesn't he?
You would think so.
We're overthinking some of these things.
A little bit. Sometimes. I was going to go over tee time pairings, but I don't think we have time. One thing that
you want to know is that you want to know how to find this. If you're not able to find it on or have time to watch it on YouTube, you can do it on iTunes, because I'm going to put it on the Preferred Lines podcast iTunes page. Go there.
Absolutely.
Maybe every week now.
Yeah.
And then when I have time, I'll come on and do this with you.
Heck yeah, man.
If you want to. I mean, I don't want to hijack your content.
Oh, no. I honestly, I think no matter what, it's always going to I think it just always benefits to have at least one more voice on. At least, someone to keep me in check. If I say something absurd, you can kind of roll your eyes and be like, no, that's stupid. Mm-hmm. Don't go that way.
Versus just the guy at home, like, oh god, this guy.
Yeah, you have to listen to me because I say all of the great things. Yeah. So let's go over this really quick, Chad.
Okay. Cool.
Bent grass stats here. I have up on the screen. So these are your top 20 golfers in bent grass heading into this tournament. I shouldn't say bet. Never mind. No. This is based off of your top 20. Here's what I typically do. Let me know if you disagree with this approach. I like to go your top to bottom bent grass golfers. This goes back to 2013. This is their bent grass averages. So their finishing position, what they do on bent grass. I usually look at this and say, okay, here are your top 20 golfers. Look at how many golfers finished inside the top 10 when looking at bent grass. How would you, first of all, do you like that approach? Secondly, how would you improve it? Would you like putting stats with this?
Correct. Yeah, exactly. You have to associate with the putting parts of it, because
sure,
John Rahm's overall bent could be because, he putted well that week or whatever, and right now He did. I was saying to you and suggesting to you to do the baseline of how they putted in their last 3, maybe even 2 years on tour, because we've seen people improve and change putters and have spurts of different skills. And the putter is so variant, so it's hard to know. But like 2-year period of time, and then you know, based on how they did in that tournament with the putter, because the putter, like, it led our guy Kokrak. That was his best putting rounds of his entire life. He's never putted better, and he's 35 or whatever. Like, I mean, he's been on tour forever, and this is the best he's ever putted in his life. So then that's, you know, it's got to be factored in. That's like an asterisk.
Right.
He's never putted it. He'll never put it. I don't think he'll ever put it as well again. So that was it. Like, 2 years ago, like, he had the putting rounds of his life. And then, so it skews their result.
But
well they did.
Chad, his putting stats, he was gaining a stroke heading into this tournament. 1 full stroke.
Right.
If we go by putting, he was the 9th best putter from the beginning of this season. These strokes gained stats only are from the 2021 season. So,
and then if you look at his baseline, okay, if you look at his overall for the last 3 years, it's probably shitty as hell, and that's why
absolutely.
I hated him, and that's why I wasn't on Kokrak, because I was hoping that he would have the normal Kokrak putting error that he's always ruined me with. Instead, he did win above and beyond. He was like a Mackenzie Hughes,
right? This. Well, and that's the other thing too, is like, okay, we just said, or at least I just brought up, like, look at Kokrak's putting stats from the beginning of the year. Well, look at Alex Noren's putting stats from the beginning of the year. He finished 76th place. So as much as I could continuously say, well, look at his putting stats from the beginning of the year, they're amazing. Obviously, the fall from grace would be, yeah, but not everybody. You know, like, it doesn't work out for everybody.
Right.
Something to
and
look into.
JT is a normally good putter, or Poston's, or, you know, like, you just know these guys. That's like way it's baked in to their results. So like, in a way, it's really just part of the results, because if you're saved by the putter, well, great, you're saved by the putter. That's still part of your score, and then your result is your score.
Right. So a couple other pieces here. 2020 bent grass. I look at all the finishing positions within 2020, put them here as the average. This one, actually, when we did the the course, well, it was just a strategy video. That's all I did. So the strategy video had this in there, and we found out
more names at the top. I mean, if you started the stack from that, you play. I made money this week.
I lost 20. I put in 30. I lost 20.
Well, I mean, fucking Jason. I could have made a little bit more. God, mother. But no, and then JT today couldn't putt worth shit. So,
man, I was honestly gonna come into this video with just like my head, just, you know, nose in the air type of thing, going, called JT, called Bubba, called the 2, you know, ancillary guys, or just whatever. Call it the tweet that I had with Russell Henley, and
that was a sleeper tweet. Yeah.
I was like, I figured out this tournament, but then the guys that I needed to do well kind of faltered at the end, and it was mostly the high priced guys. So a little bit of a bummer.
Yeah. So it's going to be a little bit of the same next week, but how are you going to do the bucket system when no one's ever been on the course? It's the same thing, right?
We're looking at what, the Sherwood, the ZoZo,
Forest, the
ZoZo Championship. I'll probably just do a comprehensive one. Actually. Yeah, I don't think I will have one. I mean, I was thinking about it for this one, primarily because so I did this for the 3M Open. I also did it for Rocket Mortgage Classic. I tried doing it for just the 1 year. You know, like the first year I tried doing it. I'll have to look into those videos and see how well those did, but I'm pretty sure what I put out there as like, these are my buckets for these golfers, it didn't really. I'm pretty sure I had to readjust my buckets after the result of the tournament. So, probably not going to do that. I don't know.
It's like a brand new tournament out of nowhere.
Right. And it's a
weird tournament because you got people preparing for the Masters. So you're like, and it's fall.
Right. And it's a limited event also, I think.
It is. And a no cut. So it's all stupid.
So I don't know. I will look at my previous videos or my previous years spreadsheets, whatever, with like Rocket Mortgage and stuff like that, and see how I started those and try to determine if there will be a bucket system for it. No matter what, there'll always be a last week bucket. And we can always look at previous tournaments like WGC events and stuff like that, or no cuts that have decent field, strength of field in them, and go by that. Usually the last week will do pretty decent.
Yeah, exactly. So just ride recent form. Maybe
Right.
you have to like look historically at who, because there's been majors played here, right? I haven't looked at that in its.
Yeah, I did a brief look into it, and I mean, there was a tournament I believe that was played at this over, a
Well,
span.
now we're just revealing we're fools, so maybe don't need to do that. Maybe you just stay tuned, and we'll learn things, and then we'll bring those things to you later in the week.
Well, I will admit right now, I don't look ahead really that far. So I'll start looking at Sherwood after this video, but I'll tell you right now, I haven't looked at a single thing about that golf course. But I will do probably a course breakdown of it, looking at, what shot shape is going to be important. I do want to actually touch on that. Most of the guys here up at the top hit a fade. Xander, I heard, was shaping it both ways.
Yep, working on his fade for the Masters.
Kokrak actually hits a draw, so that didn't work out for me. Neiman hits a draw. Munoz hits a fade. I think English hits a draw. I'm slowly actually capturing all these, so I like to look at video and determine what their main shot shape is. So I have a spreadsheet already going, I should say, adding it to the database of a lot of golfers. I think I have like 70-some golfers already with their shot shape recorded. So one of these years or one of these weeks, you'll see a column here with what their shot shape is and whether or not it actually, depending on the course fit, you'll see it up here, and then we'll be able to analyze it afterwards and see how well it worked out. But either way, that's down the road. That'll also be added to the bucket system and things to look at, just to overcomplicate things, Chad, because I know that's what I like to do to other people.
Dude, lots of reasons on top of reasons.
Right, absolutely. And hey, man, pretty soon, all it does is it just narrows down who you should play. So Correct. If you can find a bunch of reasons to narrow down your player pool, why not? Just makes life easy. You just pick from like 6 golfers, 10 golfers interchangeably.
Well,
but anyways,
I think we did well. I think you can be proud of the week you had, even though you didn't cash bigly.
Right. No, it was really close, man. Like I had a lot of really close lineups. I played a lot of winner take alls, and I finished just outside the money. For a couple of those, I think it was top 10. And either way, I just need JT to play
stop
better.
Playing those winner take alls and at least get some money back.
I like to play the quarter games with a lot of the people I don't like to play because it gives me leverage. Not really leverage, but it's kind of my, safe type of, I forget what the terminology is, but I go heavy on the guys I like in all the big GPPs that I play in. But when it comes to those winner take alls, it's a nice way to, balance out, really like tightening your player pool versus like I wasn't on a lot of Brooks. I wasn't going to play any Brooks in my lineups because I didn't trust him. But if he does win, he's going to be low owned in those winner take alls. It's going to help me.
Dude, should we talk about who is the worst?
You want to talk about who was the worst golfer?
It was Alex Noren.
No, actually it was Tahi Lee.
No, Alex Noren had 29 points. He was terrible.
He was. Yeah.
I can't believe it. And then Sung Kang. I almost used Sung Kang, and then Martin's talked me off of it.
Yeah, so he was in my tweet. That. He was one of the guys that I said you might do well.
Oh my gosh, I gained 30 points off of not using Kang and using Hoagie.
There you go.
So, damn, these are very big decisions at the beginning of the week. That's why you need these videos. Why don't you watch the Fantasy Golf Pod on, what do we do, Tuesdays? And then you can do the preferred lines on Mondays. You could do this one every day of the week.
Yeah, pretty much. We'll see, man. I might shorten them up because I think the StatFit video is one of those that just doesn't need to be added, and I could just always include a little snippet of it in the strategy videos. But
well, we're always getting better. That's what you need to know. If you saw us yesterday, then we're not the same.
That's very true, man. Very true. So
Like
I got nothing
cool
else.
Background I got. If you're on YouTube, you can look at this.
That's pretty impressive, man. I enjoy the Patrick Reed and Justine picture in the background. Yeah,
This is my prized possession.
I saw the tweet with you and the Pope, with the Pope holding up that picture.
Yeah,
That was a good one.
Had to.
All right, man. Let's get out of here.
Go. I'm freezing cold in my garage.
Yeah,
see you
let's
guys
get
next
out of here.
week. And we'll be back for a collaboration of a spreadsheet, a sweet spot spreadsheet for the Masters.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
So watch that.
All right.
Thanks, Eric.
Yeah, thank you.
Peace out.
And there you have it. That was the wrap up of the interview, or the review that Chad and I did together. I don't really have anything else to add to it. I kind of wanted to go a little bit further into the spreadsheet, but we're already looking at 50 minutes, so I'm actually going to shore it up right now. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we'll see you in probably a strategy video for the ZoZo Championship. I don't think I'll do a course fit or stat fit video for that one either. So that should come out Tuesday. I'll see you then. All right, bye.